What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another fan show, where it's your chance to have your say on the big win today. 3 points at the City Ground as Spurs won by 2-0. But I don't think that scoreline tells the whole story of the game, does it?
No, I don't think so. I think Forest were impressive. They managed to drag it into the kind of game that suited them. I just saw the interview with Steve Cooper. He talked about how it was vital to them that they kept it narrow, played within the width of their own box, played three at the back. Didn't let us get in down the sides very much. He said, we got in down the side with Sonny early on, but that was just good play rather than bad defending. And that the first goal came as a result of them not doubling up on Kulusevski for the cross. And what a great cross it was. Good finish from Richarlison, and a good finish for the second goal from Kulusevski brings a magical Friday night. And we're even giving ourselves a couple of beers to celebrate, haven't we, mate? We're loving it. We are loving it.
And we can, sit up with our feet. Well, we can sit down with our feet up for the rest of the weekend and just watch the results come in. We've got the lines are very busy today, so let's just get straight into it. Are we going to start off with Daigle? We're going to start off with Brian Daigle, who's out and about at the Scotland Yard, I imagine. Brian, how's it going, my friend?
How are we doing? You right?
Look, Brian, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. A little bit cold. It was lovely and warm here today. It was t-shirt weather, but now I'm wrapped up. The Toronto night is getting a bit chilly, so just at the station waiting to get the train. I'm after speaking to you wonderful people.
So good to hear from you, Brian. But look, hard game today. I think we just about got the job done. Goal at the end of the first half from Richarlison, carrying on his good goal scoring run. Dejan Kulusevski as well, putting the ball in the back of the net. Do you feel like we got away with one today, or did we deserve that win?
1 second, I've got to move. Okay, well, yeah, sorry, Ben, I was sitting on a step, not allowed to apparently, so let's move. You can see a little bit of the
security guy behind you. I was worried for you.
yeah, but Daniel Levy has sent his spies out for me. What could I say? Today, listen, what I will say is in the first half in the Scotland Yard, we started singing Antonio because that was a football from last year, not this year. I don't know what was happening. We looked tired, we looked leggy. But listen, Ange's ball is pretty. That was far from pretty, but the job got done. Some games you just want the 3 points, don't you?
Yeah, do you think that it was more about how Nottingham Forest lulled us into the kind of game that they wanted to play rather than, and on top of that also Johnson going off, meaning we had to bring on a more kind of serviceable, less creative midfielder in Ollie Skip? Is that why it kind of felt more like Conte ball to you, or do you think there's an issue that we should talk about in terms of how we played at Wolves away a few weeks ago and this being a similar first half?
Pardon me, that was the greatest description to say Skip hasn't got as much pace and creativity than that was wonderfully done. Now, look, what we've got to try and work out is some teams are going to play this way. When we played Newcastle and Man City, they play the attacking football we want to. Teams are going to do this to us. Teams like Nottingham Forest are going to try and infuriate us and just make us try and find out a solution and just put everyone behind us. They did it, and thankfully we found a solution. And one of the solutions, I think we should break every player's nose and make them wear a Kulu mask. Because they put that mask on. He was magnificent today, absolutely magnificent. And what a cross that was for Richarlison.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the cross and the goal as well. I mean, it was a bit fortuitous because terrible goalkeeping by the ex-Arsenal man. But Dejan Kulusevski was my man the match today. I thought he was absolutely spectacular. But look, we got to talk about Bissouma, second red card of the season. I mean, why? What? Just why?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I think not only was Kulu magnificent, I think Cuti Romero was outstanding. He was so calm and just did everything right. Bissouma, Ben, do you know what we're saying in the yard that it's got to the point now after he's been missing for the last 4 games anyway, so how can we tell the difference when he's suspended? I think when you look at it now, and I'm being serious, when he comes back from the AFCON, if Bissouma, Bentancur and Maddison are fit, is Bissouma one of the first 3 midfielders? Serious question. I mean, we all thought it would be Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison. Serious questions need to be raised. That was the most needless foul Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it a 3-game ban he gets now or 4 because it's his second
Three.
sending off?
3.
It's 3
Okay, so it's 3.
games, but he's out until he's back for the AFCON, regardless.
Yeah, yeah. Let's face it. He didn't really do anything in this game before he got sent off. Anyway, did he? I think he made one great tackle, and I think that was it. But yeah, it's become a problem, hasn't it? He started off absolutely on fire, and we were all saying, I was one of them, saying, "My God, what has Conte done? Not playing this player? He had this guy at his disposal." And people were saying that Conte saw something or didn't find a position for him. I love Basuma. I think on his game, and we saw what he could do, he's magnificent. But he has not been magnificent since that sending off. He's been far from it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I completely agree. But with 4 sending off so far this season, why? What would you put that down to?
Mate, I honestly can't. I can't put I can't fathom it. I mean, I thought once he came back from getting his after the suspension for Luton, then he got his 5th yellow card and he had to miss it. I thought, you know what, he's playing with a clean sweep now. You ain't got to worry about suspensions. Hopefully he'll keep clean until it goes up to 10 and we'll see Basuma back. I really don't know what's happening. I don't know. I thought, and I said when I did shows on Sunday, that I thought Sarr made him look better when we thought it'd be the other way around at the start of the season. But then you say, is he missing a Van de Ven? Is he missing a Madison to help complement everything he does? But his form has just dropped off a cliff dramatically. And if it had been any other player, if it had been a Royale or Højbjerg or whatever, everyone would be going absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
But because it's Basuma, it's kind of getting, Basuma's a great player. He's this, he's that, he's unbelievable on his day. And he is. But he's let himself and the team down and the fans down since the Luton game. There's no way around it.
Yeah, Brian, so you mentioned, an interesting point, I think, which is when all the players are back fit, would he be in that one of those 3 central midfield roles? Do you think Bentancur, though, would be slightly wasted as a 6? I think Basuma as a 6 does kind of work. So what you're looking at is whether then you would I think it'll be interesting to see how Oliver Skipp comes in if he plays for the next few games. If he were to put a decent run of games together as a 6, that could make it interesting. But I think Bentancur is more an 8, don't you?
Well, but the way I look at it right now is when everyone's back fit, at least there's options for Ange. There's selections. Basuma is not just walking into this team now. He is going to have to earn his place back. And at least and again, we don't know who's coming in January. There could be another person in January, but we speak a lot, and I speak a lot about it last season with Conte's team. There needs to be accountability for actions. And just because you're this player's name, you don't start just on your name. And we want players to play that are on form and putting in a shift. And you cannot say that about Basuma right now. And he shouldn't just play just because he's Basuma and on his day he can be great. We need to see that again, and he's going to need to work hard to get back into the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough.
To be fair, I think Bentancur can do the 6 role fine. And I have no problems with putting Bentancur in the 6. It's who goes ahead of him for me. And I think with the way Basuma's playing at the moment, with the way he's getting sent off, I would much prefer to put Bentancur in the number 6, to be honest, right now. But look, Skippy came on today for Brennan Johnson. How do you feel he went today?
The first half he came on, he looked a little bit, it took him a little while to get in there. I think he drastically improved in the second half. Drastically improved. Listen, when we had to hold on, when we went down to 10 men, that's when you need an Ollie Skip type player. The thing I didn't get, Ben, but I don't know if I missed anything because of the commentary and it was loud in the yard. I was really surprised he chose him over Pierre. I thought Pierre would be the one coming on. Maybe there's more developments with him wanting his move. Who knows what's going on? But I really thought Pierre would have been the natural one. But he went with Skip. And you know what? In the second half, I think he played well.
Yeah, I agree. I wondered at the time, I think I maybe said it to Ben, whether Ange just felt like he wanted more legs in midfield. And obviously, Højbjerg offers you, conservatism, being pragmatic and, decent positioning. But Ollie Skip is able to then give you a bit more kind of legs and engine up the pitch, which actually when we then, having gone down to 10 men, you need a bit more legs as well to kind of put some pressure on Nottingham Forest. But yeah, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe there is some more developments on the transfer side, or maybe Pierre has said, Now, because realistically, I'm really hoping Lo Celso will be available for that Everton game. But now that Lo Celso has shown that he is a really valuable member of this squad, I feel like Pierre has been pushed even further down the pecking order, and maybe he's just got to a point where he's like, look, I'm clearly kind of fifth or sixth choice centre midfielder here, so I want to get my move in January, and maybe he said that.
It is. I mean, to you two as well, just very quickly, I know you've got loads of other people. I don't know what we do for defence, because now I have to say that yellow card for Destiny, the guy's a man mountain. If he touches you, you're going to go down. It was a pointless.
That was never a booking.
No, not at all. Mate, if that was an actual booking, there'd be about 17 yellow cards every game.
Yeah, ridiculous.
People got to understand, Destiny is a man mountain. If he touches you, you're going to go. But I don't know what we do in defence now.
Yeah, you're looking at it, right? You got Udogie suspended for the next game. Obviously, Bissouma's suspended for the next 3 games. What is your back four selection?
I think the only thing he can do is I don't think he's going to put Davies at left back. I think the only thing he's going to do is put Emerson there, isn't it? I think. But then, I mean, Ben Davies as well. Ben Davies has had another good game today. I don't know if Aaron's in the background. He probably is, but he gets a lot of criticism. Of course, he's probably got a big smile right now of me saying this. He deserves credit, but he can't play a left back, can he? And we're not going to bring in a youngster. So the only thing I can see is Emerson, Davies, Romero, and Porro. That's all I can see. But
you know what I would prefer, Brian? Because we saw what happened with Emerson Royale at left back at Wolves. It was nowhere near good enough. It was a massive reason why we lost that game and why we weren't good enough in midfield in terms of our ball retention. So having said that, and using that game as an example, I would prefer to see Emerson Royale moved into centre-back again and have Ben Davies on the left-back, just because Ben Davies is that much better on the ball, where he can invert into the midfield and maybe help us keep that ball a bit better.
Yeah. Do you know what? I have to say, and I noticed it in this game as well, Ben Davies is running with the ball right through the midfield. Maybe it is the solution, Ben. Maybe it is the solution, but Everton have come right on top. I'm just trying to think. Against Everton, is Dwight McNeil, I can't remember, does he play on the right or the left for Everton?
I think he plays on the left, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
I think Sean Dyche, if Ben Davies is on the left, might switch that, because Dwight McNeil is on a very good run of form right now, and obviously can terrorise. It's going to be a weak spot either way, whether it's Davies or Everton. It's not Udogie. So it's going to be a weakness, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's going to be very hard to navigate these next couple of games with the injuries, suspensions that we have, and even more so when the players go out to their international duties, with Sonny going and Papa Matasar going as well. So, look, we're just going to have to get through it, but you got to give credit to the team for getting through it again today. Another 10-man performance. Dejan Kulusevski led the line perfectly as well, I thought, when Sonny did go off. So you got to give credit to the team in that aspect, don't you?
Oh, 100%. You know, like I said at the beginning, Ben, we're not going to win all these games playing the fantastic football we have. We've played most games recently, apart from Newcastle and Man City, where we started off creating loads of chances, took one, and then the second half came back to bite us. Where this time the first half was as dull as it's come in Ange's tenure, and we got the job done. So where is the test? Can we play it without playing the pretty Ange ball? Yes, Nottingham Forest are poor, but it's an away game, Friday night, under the lights at Nottingham. A pumped-up crowd, manager seriously under threat. And we found the answer to their question. So, job done, and on to Everton.
Finally, man of the match, Brian?
It's hard for me between Kulusevski and Romero. I really do think Romero was magnificent, but Kulusevski got a goal, and the assist was magnificent, so I'm giving it to Kulu.
All right, big up, Brian. Thanks for coming on today.
See you later on, people. Take care. See you later. Shut up.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because we were sitting here saying Davis or Kulusevski, and he throws Romero into the world.
Well, the one I really remember is that block that came from a shot on the right-hand side of their 18-yard box that looked like it was pinging straight into the bottom left-hand corner. And Romero did his kind of classic arms behind his back, but just got a little toe on it that sent it wide. If they scored at that moment, I think we would have been in for a very difficult last 15, 20 minutes. And it was difficult enough as it was. So, yeah, Romero's definitely in there with a shout. But I think if you're talking about Romero, maybe you've got to talk about Vicario as well. Because Vicario got us out of trouble beautifully a couple of times.
Yeah, a bit of a dodgy one in the first half where it was called for offside at the end, but
I don't remember that.
yeah, we won't talk about that one. But look, next up, he's got a big smile on his face. Ben Davies is #1 fan, and I'm sure a lot of people are giving him a few apologies today. But let's bring him on, Ariane. Ariane, talk to me. Just talk to me about Ben Davies. I'm just going to let you have the floor. Go for it.
Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute, mate.
Oh, we can't hear you, Ariane. Don't make us cut you off. It's always nice to see your bedroom, though, mate. That's good. Thanks for tidying up for us. We really appreciate that.
I'm not sure about the colour on the bed, though. What's that all about,
a
Ariane?
bit of red there, Ariane. I don't know. Do you want to try and come back to us again, Ariane? Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk. So which moment were you talking about where he had a dodgy one in the first half, Vicario? I can't remember.
It was offside. The ball comes to him. We both said at the time saying he should have caught it.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, he flapped at it. That was mad. I think he thought that maybe it was going to be like a 50-50 and the striker was going to come in with his foot. So he went like that. But yeah, he had more time than he thought. And actually, that's a bit similar to the only time where I think he may have made a mistake this season, which was against West Ham, where for the pass back, he came out with his hands.
Yeah.
And actually, he got there 50-50 and their striker was not going to tackle him. So he could have just come out with his feet, which he did so brilliantly against Chelsea. But no, like in terms of in general, I think Vicario's performances this season have just been unbelievable.
Me personally, I feel like he's been the best goalkeeper in the Premier League this season.
I think Addison is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League by miles.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that Alisson is Vicario is a better keeper than Alisson, but I'm saying that Vicario, on form, has been the best goalkeeper in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, quite possibly. I haven't watched all Liverpool's games, so Alisson, he may have made a few little ricks that I haven't seen, but in terms of his decision making as a keeper, I love Alisson. But Vicario, they're talking about him now in a big way about replacing Donnarumma as Italy's #1, and he's humble. I mean, obviously he had the moment with your man against Newcastle.
I'm sure Callum Wilson will say he's humble.
Callum Wilson, but he's pretty humble and he's very composed, and that is something we've really needed, especially with his height and his presence since unfortunately Hugo dropped off a couple of years ago.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Is Ariad frozen or is he?
No, I think he's all right. He's back.
All right, let's bring him on. Ariad.
Okay.
Yes, we got you.
Come on.
Fantastic,
Let me start
fantastic.
that intro again for you, Ariad. Ben Davies is #1 fan. You must be getting a lot of apologies today.
Not really as many as I think I should be getting. But look, honestly, I could go on forever. Do we have enough time on the stream? I could talk forever about stupid.
Go
Ben
for it,
Davies.
Ariad. Just go for it.
Look, man. When he came in at that, Mickey Van Even gets injured. Everybody, including myself, right? A lot of us are worried we lost a key player, and I think Davis has taken up that mantle flawlessly. Does he have that same pace? Does he have the same power? Does he have exactly what Mickey Van Even has ability-wise? No. But the way he stepped up and filled that void when we needed him massively, the same way Kulusevski's done for Madison, it speaks volumes about how good of a servant he's been to this club. And every single manager who's ever really managed us since Pochettino brought him in, they all do not have enough superlatives to say about Davis. And I think that we need to put a little bit of respect on his name. I think the thing that always upsets me the most when it comes to Davis is he gets painted with Dyer's brush, and I hate that because they're not in the same category of player, and yet I have to sit here first back in those days I had to defend him against Aurier, and now I'm defending him against Dyer, and I think he's done enough where he's earned the respect that I've been giving him for a while, which is he's been a fantastic servant to the club, and these performances are key to our season. When Van de Ven comes back and when Madison comes back, and hopefully we start going on a very, very good run of form again, like we did at the beginning of the season, I feel like this kind of run that Davis is having is probably going to start being forgotten, as it naturally is. And I kind of want to emphasize just how important the performances he's putting in right now are for us, because they're priceless. These points are priceless right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think the thing that people never really reference when it comes to Ben Davies is how much better he is on the ball and playing brave passes in between the lines, particularly into our midfield and out wide to Sonny sometimes. And as I think was mentioned, how he was brave in taking the ball into midfield himself today as well and drawing defenders out and making space for other people in a game where we were playing against a team with a low block. So I've always been a huge fan of Ben Davies. I think he is an ultimate squad player. Like, he's exactly the kind of squad player you want in a team where you're changing system and you want to try and improve, and he's never going to kick up a fuss. So just like you, mate, I'm a huge fan, and it always upsets me when I see people, particularly on Twitter, kind of slagging him off and, like you said, tarring him with the Eric Dyer brush. So, you know, more props, Ben Davies. Very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amazing. Go on.
But Ariane, how important was it to get over that line today? It was a very difficult game under very difficult circumstances. Bissouma put us under even more pressure that we didn't need to be under today. But how important was it to get those 3 points?
Look, like I said, priceless points. Just the way we're getting over the line right now when things shit's hitting the fan. And, you know, quickly mentioning Bissouma, what really upsets me about that Bissouma challenge and the red is what was an absolutely deserved red card. You know, don't get that twisted. Absolutely deserved sending off. Kind of swept that horrendous refereeing performance under the rug, because that up till that point, that had to be some of the worst refereeing I've seen in the league. You know, I cannot believe that we got the first yellow card that game. I simply cannot believe that we got the first yellow card that game. And what was that guy who, you know, he called over Yates, who I don't know how he ended up escaping tonight without a booking, and called him over and said, you know, you need to talk to your player. When that was 2 bookable offenses that he should have been sent off to. I wanted to quickly say that overshadowed what was honestly probably so far this season, and that is a very high bar, the worst refereeing performance I've seen in a Spurs game. Absolutely horrendous. But anyway, let's go on and say how important this win was. Look, it kind of speaks to everything I just about. We get over the line, we never stop. From minute one, I think we kind of started it pretty well, and then they really got into the game. You know, very energetic. I did not expect to see a Forest as energetic as they were. I really didn't surprise me. But we dealt with it. I think we dealt with it well. They did a lot of barking, not a lot of biting. I think they always kind of lack that final X factor, and Morgan Gibbs-White, who I feel like is supposed to be that, wasn't really cutting it today. As soon as he entered our final third, he was making very silly decisions, and I think that did end up helping us out big time, because, you know, like for example, when he goes down when Son maybe stroked his chin when he literally threw on goal, or not, whoever it was. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
I think it was Davis. Yeah, it was Davis. Yeah.
It wasn't Davis. It was Davis. You're right. But I'm like, what is that? That cost Forest the goal right there. So just very poor decisions for Forest going to the final third. They had a lot of the energy. They had a lot of the motivation to go forward, but they didn't have the technique. They didn't have the quality. And we did. We capitalized off their mistakes for that second goal and that first goal. I mean, it was just a perfect cross into Richarlison, who's on form, man. And I've been believing Richarlison too, just as much as I've been believing in Davis in the past. Richarlison 3 goals in 2 games now. I captained him in my fantasy team. I put my money where my mouth is. So and he got me the goal. He got me that goal. He got me the points. So I'm happy. Just really could not be more happy with kind of how we got over that line.
Brilliant. Ariane, how do you think the Brennan Johnson injury affected us? Do you think potentially that might have been a very different game? A few people we've spoken to have talked about it being an incredibly boring kind of first half. But do you think a lot of that is down to the fact that Johnson went off and Skip had to come on? Like, how do you think that game would have been different had Johnson stayed on for the whole game?
I don't think Johnson was really in the game that much up until his injury. I think he was kind of getting marshaled out. Really, our wing play just wasn't really on it today. I think besides that Son chance that in the very beginning, both our wingers weren't really entering the game until Kulusevski went on the wing. So I don't think Johnson. If anything, Johnson's injury. Kulusevski wasn't Johnson's position when he crossed it in, so maybe the result would have been different actually if Johnson didn't get injured. So I'm glad he's not concussed though, because I actually confirmed that he is not concussed. So, glad to have for that thing, because I think he's still a very important player to us. I think he's a fantastic player, but I don't think he really was able to get himself into this game. And that happens, just not every player is going to perform perfectly 10 times out of 10. It's just natural. So, I don't think how boring it was really more down to Johnson. I think it was just a very cagey match. Because Forest were playing for 0-0. They completely were playing for 0-0 up until the extra time when we got that goal. It was low block after they were hitting us on the counter, but it was very, very low blocks coming from Forest. So I don't think it was down to the Johnson injury at all. It was just a boring game.
It could have been a very different game if Taiwo Awoniyi was playing today, right? Because he's a massive target man, massive threat for them today. So do you feel like we had a bit of a stroke of luck he wasn't playing today?
every team that's playing us has a struggle. Like I have no sympathy for any team's injury problems right now. So,
It's fair play.
you know, they don't have that one year. We don't have Madison. If Madison's there, their defense is going to be hopeless with balls in behind that are filled with absolute quality every time. So I have zero sympathy for any team that's going up against us right now, injury wise. And yeah, one you know what Davis lacks that Mickey Van de Ven has mostly is probably his physicality. You know, one you could have maybe exploited that a bit more. But also maybe if Van de Ven was there, I won you again wouldn't be as big of a threat. So a 1 year versus Davis is a different conversation than a 1 year versus Matt Van de Ven. So I again,
good
no
point.
sympathy.
Very
And
good point.
we've got obviously Everton at home coming up. What are your thoughts on that game, especially with regards to the suspensions that we're going to be suffering and having to kind of cobble
That's gonna be a
together?
tough game.
Yeah, having to
gonna be
cobble
a tough
together a
game.
first team for that.
Everton, Sean Dyche, they are, with strikers like Beto, Calvert-Lewin, defenders who are just physical monsters, Doucouré, Onana. It's going to be one of the most physical games, and I think what our squad lacks a lot right now is physicality. Luckily, we do have some figures who I think could bring that. Richarlison, obviously, Sarr, Romero, even Emerson himself, who's probably going to end up playing the game with Udogie out. But it's going to be a tough game for sure. I think Everton are a very good side. I think they're very underrated. I think especially because of how they were last season, people don't really quite see how good they are under Sean Dyche. And they had a poor start to the season like every Sean Dyche team has ever, and that always fools people sometimes. But you can see they've really found their feet. And is it going to be at Goodison Park? I think it is, right? So that's going to be...
No, it's at Spurs.
It's at Spurs.
Oh, is it at Spurs? Okay, so I guess it's a little bit more... Yeah, I think we can read that home crowd is going to be massive to us. Then that is going to be absolutely crucial. We need the fans to get behind the players because it's going to be probably the most energetic. We're going to have to see the most energetic Spurs that we've seen in a long time to beat Everton. I think to get over the line there because they are they will fight tooth and nail to go 0-0, let alone 1-0. So it's going to be a tough game, that one. So our injuries and our suspensions are gonna hurt us, but we're gonna need to really band together as a team. And luckily we play it on Friday, so we're going to have a little bit more rest than they are. And that's going to be huge.
Ariane, I was speaking to Brian before about how we navigate that game and who plays where. And I made the argument maybe to play Davis at left back to use his ball playing ability to invert into the middle, because we all saw how to Emerson, how he was inverting at Wolves, and it was just an absolute tragedy. How do you feel we should navigate that game, and who should we play in the back for?
If Davis plays at left back, look, I mean, I think I'd start Emerson over Dyer anyway. Whether or not it's center back or left back is a different question. I think the positions are a little bit of a concept in an Ange team more than a reality. So when it comes to inverting into the midfield, there's no reason Davis can't play center back and invert into the midfield and have Emerson cover his position anyway. I'd probably just start Emerson at the left back spot. But everyone's going to have to defend. Everyone's going to have to push forward. Their positions are kind of a bit of an illusion under this team so far. So it's a bit tricky to say what I'd do. It's more about personnel than positions. I'd start Emerson for sure. So I just don't want to see Dyer play again. Just he doesn't. Yeah, I have no ill will towards Dyer, but he doesn't have the quality to play in an Ange team. He doesn't. And I don't think he's going to serve us any well to put him under the spotlight again when it doesn't benefit anybody.
What's your prediction for that Everton game then?
I will always say we're going to win. I'm going to say 3-0.
Decent.
3-0. Wow.
3-0.
Do you think there's a chance for Dorrington to play? Because Ange did say a few weeks ago that, with the busy schedule coming up, he's going to get his chance.
Maybe. But, I don't watch trainings and he does, so I don't know what level Dorrington's at. We haven't seen him on the pitch, so I really don't have anything to judge him off of. But if Ange thinks he's ready, then he's ready. Then I hope so. I think it'd be exciting and it'd get me excited to watch him. But I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. I really do, because then Davis could play left back kind of really comfortably. So I'd be very excited to see that if it happens, for sure.
I think it would be a big one to bring him in against Calvert-Lewin.
A very
in his
physical
first game.
team,
Very
right?
physical.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin playing number 9 and the other guy you're talking about, what's his name? Beto. That's right, Beto. He's a big guy
bully.
too.
He's a bully.
It's true. But Ariane, let's finish off on getting your man of the match today.
Kulusevski for sure. Even though I love Ben Davis, Kulusevski's a different breed. He's an absolute, especially just every time we go down to 10 minutes, Kulusevski impresses. One of the hardest working players in the Premier League, especially just he's a demon of a player, really. I think he had to get nerfed by God, because if he had pace, this guy would be one of the best players in the world. So just an absolute hardworking demon engine, never runs out. He's got 3 lungs, and he's got all the quality in the world, technically speaking. He's an absolute beast, man. I think for sure him, 10 men, he really, him and Skip today, I think after the 10 men really kind of made up for it with their hard work. So I would give it to Kulusevski without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. All right. Ariane, pleasure to speak to you as always, my friend. See you
course.
next time.
And as always, come on, you Spurs!
Come on! Love that, Ariane. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's keep it moving. We got Jake.
How are you, Jake?
What's up, guys? How y'all?
Yeah, really good, mate. Nice to meet you.
Jake, before we get into it, I just want to say thank you so much for the consistent support that you've given the channel over the years. I think it might be, is it the first time that we're speaking?
Yeah, first time calling in.
Oh, top man. Where are you, Jake?
I am in Lubbock, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere.
Amazing.
Really, really good to have you on the show today. Look, what did you make out of that performance today? A 2-0 win away at Forest. Did that scoreline tell the whole story of the game?
No, not at all. It was an ugly affair, but I think it was a game that a title contending team needs to go in there and put in. We got the job done at the end of the day.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. I think that's a really good point. We've seen quite a lot with Arsenal actually having to kind of score last-minute winners away at Brentford and in other games. And actually, we managed to wrap that up a lot earlier. Yeah, Luton, perfect, exactly. And we wrapped that up a lot earlier. And I was really impressed with the kind of desire and strength and physicality shown by Spurs tonight when, as I said to Ben earlier, quite often we are given abuse for folding like a pack of cards in situations like that. Did you, is that how you saw it as well?
Yeah, definitely. Just it wasn't the prettiest football at times, but we did what we needed to do.
Who really stood out for you on that pitch today?
Man, it has to be Kulusevski. That dude just, every time you watch him, he's going to put in 100% effort, runs the farthest in the Prem, just his quality all around. And I prefer seeing him in that number 10 over the wing, but I thought when he had to go outside, he did well today.
You know what, Jake? Yeah, one criticism that I've always got of Dejan Kulusevski is when he's on that right-hand side, he never uses that right foot of his. But he did that today, so you got to give him credit, don't you?
He did, but I was right there with Barnaby telling him to cut it back with his left.
That's right. In the watch-along, if any of you weren't watching, I literally, as he took the ball, just before he took the ball on his right foot to score, I was like, take it on your left foot. On your left foot. And I was like, oh, goal. So, yeah, me and Jake, Kulusevski, don't listen to me and Jake, ever. We don't know anything.
Exactly.
But I did actually call it before when Johnson went off and Kulusevski out to the right. I said, look, we were worried that he might be a little bit too one-dimensional and transparent to defend against. But I did say with Richarlison in the 9, there's a possibility that he might get some chances from that crossing of Kulusevski. And that's how the goal came from. And do you think Richarlison benefits from having kind of Kulusevski out wide on one side and Sonny on the other, both being able to kind of come in on their stronger foots and whip in those in-swinging balls?
Definitely. Right now, they're the best quality that we have on the wing as far as getting in those cross-headed balls. And Richie, for what he does and doesn't do, he's class in the air.
Yeah, he really is. And he's showing it at the moment. Man on form, 3 goals in his last 2 games is Richarlison. And I'm loving what he's doing at the moment. I really am. And in a difficult game to navigate away at Nottingham Forest, we got the important 3 points today. But we got to talk about Yves Bissouma. Second red card of the season for him. What's happened to Bissouma and why is he making these stupid challenges?
I don't know. It's inexcusable, especially just if he takes a simple touch and does the simple thing, he's not in that position to try to recover from his mistake that led to the red card. So I think he just tries to do too much sometimes and it comes back to bite him.
Yeah, I guess the argument there is that Ange is telling them to do that, take a risk on the ball, similar to when Bissouma was at fault actually for Man City's 3rd goal, wasn't he? He tried to nutmeg one of their players just outside the box and it came back to haunt him as they scored that goal. Luckily, we got a result in that game we got the draw. But I think Basuma would say, look, Ange Postecoglou is telling me that these are the kind of risks he wants me to take on the ball. And he took a heavy touch. And as a result, the real mistake I felt was that he then went chasing for it. And it was a red card, wasn't it? Now, obviously, he's out until the end of the African Cup of Nations. When he comes back in, let's assume that by then, maybe, Lo Celso will definitely be fit. We'll have probably all of our central midfield options other than Bentancur. Would you think Ange would bring him straight back in the team, or do you think there'll potentially be he's too much of a liability?
I don't think so. I think Bentancur can play that 6 well. I think Sarr could even play it. He's not as good on the ball, but I think he'd have to prove himself. It's too many times too reckless, and it puts the team in a hard position.
Yeah, you mentioned Sarr. How did you feel his performance was today? Because we all gave him loads of props for his performance against Newcastle. Really felt like we'd missed him and hadn't really maybe noticed him, how important he was to us, maybe a bit underrated. Today, I thought he obviously, as ever, worked his nuts off, put in an engine performance. But there was some kind of iffy balls. There was certainly one in the first half where he tried to play a ball across his own box, and they nearly scored as a result. Do you think he was a little bit off it today, or do you think, it was just a kind of team performance and Sarr just played the similar level as the rest of the team?
I think it was more of a team performance. He might have been a little down. I don't quite rate his passing a lot. I think he puts in 100% effort. He covers a lot of ground, does a lot of defensive mopping up, but he's so young. There's so much room for him to grow.
Totally.
And I think that's the difference between him and Skip. Skip, you kind of know where his ceiling is, and he's going to give you that effort, but Sarr just has so much room to grow.
I mean, I know what you're saying. I still think Skip is probably only about 23 himself, and it's all about run of games for him. I feel like he did get some under Conte, but I'd love to see Skip, well, not love to see because it's because of injuries, but if he gets a run of 5 games under Ange, I wonder if we may well see that his ceiling is possibly more than we fear, but I think we might be about to find out.
I thought it was a positive performance from Skip today. But Jake,
I think.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think Skip did look good, but I do agree that in a run of games, I think he can show his potential, but I wish we weren't seeing those run of games.
Yeah, because we do have much better options in midfield. I completely agree. But who was your man of the match today, Jake?
It's got to be Kulu. And then behind him, I'd say Vicario. That dude is crazy. His highlight reel of offside goals that he saved this season is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely true. And actually, that's really important because definitely seen down the years, but more specifically now that VAR basically let offsides all go through, or sorry, the linesmen do so that they can be brought back by VAR. Keepers have to super concentrate and just act like everything is onside, whether it is or not. And you're right, he has made some unbelievable saves from what have been then deemed to be offside chances this season. Yeah, absolutely spot on. But Jake, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend. And thank you for the continued support. Hopefully you call in again.
Definitely. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Good, man. Big amazing to get callers from Texas in America. Yeah. That's incredible. What a club. Well, next caller is coming from Poland. So let's bring on Michael. Good man. How you doing, Michael? Cheers to you as well for the 3 points. How are you today, Michael? Michael, come on, man. You've been on this show so many times and you're still coming on mute. You're on mute, Michael. Oh, no, he doesn't think he is. There he is. Hey!
The rendezvous just keeps switching my microphone to this one, and it's not working, and I have a one. Yeah. Just blame someone else, Michael. Blame your Britney Spears microphone. Talk to me, Michael. Talk to me. How do you think that game went today? I'm stressed, man. You're still stressed? Yeah. That's why I opened the beer. No, in all seriousness, because I don't want to make this whole calling about the referee, so I will get this quickly off my chest, right? Red card, fine, no issues with that, right? That's the only good decision that they made during that match. I don't understand how some of those bookings were bookings. I kid you not, I checked like the SofaScore statistics, right? And at one point, I think in like the 60th minute, Forest committed like 12 fouls, no yellow cards. We committed 9, and we had a red card and 4 yellow cards. Like,
Yeah.
and listen, people can make the point about our team being like not this like the lack of discipline, right, in our team. But at some point, I feel like I'm repeating myself because it's not the first game where I feel like we've been like heavily penalized for making like some soft, at times, soft tackles, right? Again, no issue with Bissouma red card, right?
Agreed,
Definite
yeah.
red. As soon as I saw it, it was definitely a red, right? But for example, the most egregious one for me was the Udogi yellow card. And ironically, it's the most important because he is suspended for Everton, right? But he literally shoulder barged the guy. Like, ever since I started playing football, every coach told me that you can shoulder barge people, right? You can't push them, you can't, sweep their legs, you can't just, pull the shirt, but you can shoulder barge because that's just fighting for the ball with your body, right? You are not using your hands, you are just using the strength of your body, right? So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous for me to get booked for that. And on top of that, I think Yates was the guy who was faulted by Udogi, right? He does this to the referee.
Yeah,
As far
that's
as
a
I'm
yellow.
concerned, it's supposed to be a yellow, right?
Yeah.
Literally 3 minutes later, Davies gets elbowed in the face by Elanga and no yellow card. Like, it's getting ridiculous. It's like, it's not like I'm not bitching about us getting yellow cards, right? It's the opposition not getting them, right? I think I've made the point talking. I don't remember who I was talking to. I think it was like Res or maybe someone here, right, on your channel. I think I made the point that it's not only about like penalizing the player, but also if a player is on a yellow card, they sometimes won't make a challenge, cannot stop your counter attack. Like, it gives you advantages in the game, right? When the midfielder is on the yellow and you are springing on with a counter attack, you cannot stop you because he will get a red card, right? So I'm just like advocating for like fair and square judgment of the falls, right? I don't mind us getting 4 yellow cards if Forest also get 4 for some of the like absolutely ridiculous falls that they made, right? I think Sonny was faulted like 6 times during like the first 60 minutes. Poro got his ankle scraped like 3 times by 3 different players. No yellow cards. I got it off my chest. Let's maybe talk about the game, right?
Yeah, just to finish off that point, I actually think that referee was taken in by like the atmosphere of the Forest fans. So it just seemed to me like every time we made a foul, the Forest fans really reacted in a way like it should be a yellow card, and the referee really fell for it. And that's kind of like really old school refereeing. It used to be called being a homer. And it's like, it really seemed to me like he fell for that. And maybe, I don't know much about that referee, but it seemed like he kind of lacked the experience or the strength to deal with that.
It took 82 minutes for them to book a Forest player today. 82 minutes, where in the first half alone, they probably could have had about 3 bookings. And not on top of that, you talk about the Udogi booking, right, which wasn't a booking by any stretch of the imagination. Cuti Romero did something, I think, about 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after that, which was 100% a booking, in my opinion, and he wasn't booked. So, I mean, I don't know what this ref was on today. But look, Michael, go on. Let's talk about the game.
Yeah, so, like with the game itself, right? I think in the first half, we again, like, we again faced the opposition that just set up in a low block, with 2 men up top, like waiting for a ball to be sprayed to them, right? And I think again we found ourselves like lacking the ideas to break down the opposition, right? And I think it's partially because we didn't really have like a creative hub in the middle, especially when Brennan Johnson got subbed off, because Kulusevski had to move out wide, right? So in the middle, I think we lacked that like killer through pass, or some creativity that, for example, Kulusevski, Lo Celso, or Madison would provide if they were there, right? But thankfully, like a godlike cross from Kulusevski, who, by the way, like I'm jumping the gun, he is definitely my man of the match. Like, absolutely amazing performance by him. Again, like I think it's like a 4th or 5th in a row that he
he performed really, really well, right? But with the first half, right? I am so glad that we scored the goal, because I think if we went into the second half with a 0-0 scoreline, it would have been a long day. It would have been a really long day if we didn't manage to score. But then again, like first half, okay, we come out on top, right? But the second half, I feel like what I've noticed with our team so far this season is that we often get drawn into those like really stupid, childish, like, you know, physical battles of just, you know, I kicked you, you kick me, like, you know, eye for an eye, whatever, right? I just have a feeling that with the quality of our players, I feel like we should be I'm not saying we should just let the opposition foul us and not react in some way, right? Because that's how you deal with opposition being aggressive, right? You also have to leave something yourself, right? But I just feel like we are like too easily drawn into this, like, again, as I said, like kick for a kick, eye for an eye, you know. It's honestly ridiculous, right? And listen, absolute brain fart by Bissouma, and honestly, it's kind of like a cherry on the really stinky cake of his performances recently. Like I really like the player. I think for the first 10 games he was really, really good, apart from Luton, right? But ever since like he started like dropping in and out of the team because of the suspensions, and you know, like his performances dropped off really, really, like really, really hard, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, like this was just cherry on the top of the cake, right? I really think, even though, like, don't mind the red card itself, right? I think he was pretty bad this game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's worrying. It's worrying. Yeah. Go on, Barnaby. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Can I just make a point about like what you were saying in terms of Bissouma? Do you think he is in danger of losing his place in the team because of these kind of digressions and mistakes that he's making? Or do you think he will be straight back in after the AFCON?
I think he should sit like 1, 2, or 3 games on the bench after he comes back. I feel like he reached the point where he has to take accountability for his like on-field decisions, right? Because like I don't think it's anything malicious, right? It's not like he wanted to hurt the player, or, you know, he's just like, you know, a screw got loose, and, you know, he just wanted to injure someone or whatever, right? But still, you need to be responsible, especially when we are so injury ravaged, right? I think I even spoke with you, Barnaby, about this, right? I think that he doesn't handle responsibility well.
Right.
And I think that's something that Ange already pointed out in the preseason, and I think after like a couple of first games. I feel like when he's given the freedom and the responsibility is taken off his shoulders by the likes of Madison or the likes of Van de Ven, Romero, you know, people around him give him the security to do his own thing. I feel like he's an amazing player then. But I think because he is now in this midfield, the senior one, right? He needs to take the responsibility on his shoulders. I think he struggles in that situation. And I think it's yet again, like, no need to do that. Like similar thing with Man City game, right? I think he just feels the pressure of I need to do something. I need to, you know, I need to fight for the ball. I need to, you know, bail out my team. And then he just loses his head and does something stupid. And I'm a bit worried about that, but I hope that when we get our players back, that, you know, he will get this security that he had at the beginning of the season back, right? But still, I think after AFCON ends and after he comes back, especially if like Højbjerg performs like up to a certain standard, I think Højbjerg should be playing as a first teamer for like a couple of games, and I think Bissouma should have been like eased in. Should be eased in, right?
You're a brave man saying that in front of a captive audience of Tottenham Hotspur fans.
Because I don't think, like, after what he's done today, I don't think it would be like wise to show the team, listen, you can do dumb shit and you are just straight back into the team, right? I think he needs to take responsibility for that, for what he did today.
Good point.
Because I think it was a complete like headless, and I think it was a stupid tackle to make.
Michael, I actually said the same thing before the West Ham game. I think it was. I don't know if you saw the preview, but I was saying that that Basuma's not playing well enough, and it goes back all the way to the Luton game, and I don't think he's played well at all since that Luton game. And I felt that Højbjerg should have come in the number 6 for the West Ham game. Obviously, that didn't happen, and Basuma had a much improved performance in the Newcastle game, the game after that. So I felt like he did earn his spot back. But I think it should be a meritocracy in the squad, and I feel like if players aren't playing well, then that's why you have competition in the squad, and we should use the competition. And I don't think Højbjerg is playing well, to be honest, at the moment. So. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment, but actually we're not, because Basuma's not available till after the AFCON anyway.
We're stuck between a skip and a hard place.
Yeah, exactly.
A skip and a Højbjerg.
Yeah. We're stuck between a skip and a Højbjerg, but let's talk about something positive now, and a player who's going the other way to Basuma, a player that is growing within this Spurs team, which is Richarlison. 3 goals in his last 2 games, much improved performances. He looks much more free on that pitch at the moment. So what do you make out of Richarlison at the moment, and is he playing his way into your good books at the moment?
Yeah, so I think at least I'm trying to be fair to all players, right? And if I see lack of quality, I will call it out. But if I see good performances and doing things well on the pitch, I will also give credit for it, right? And I've always maintained, I don't think Richarlison is a good footballer in terms of the ball control, passing, all those things that Harry Kane was so brilliant at, right? He will never be Harry Kane, but that's no disadvantage to Richarlison. Harry Kane is in a league of his own, right? But all I want from my striker is to score goals, right? So if the guy is scoring goals, I'm not going to blame him for other things, right? If he keeps slapping one in every game, then I'm fine with it, right? I am fine with him playing if he actually contributes to the team. My biggest issue with Richarlison was that he kept missing open nets, open goals. He couldn't really hit a target in the first 10 games.
Yeah.
There were some opportunities where all it took was just to shoot it on the target, right? And he couldn't do that. So that's why I was criticizing him then. But right now, I think, especially with those 2 performances, he scored the goals. He deserves to play, right? And it doesn't change the fact that I think we should bring another striker in, just for the sake of competition even, right? As we said, boys, I think competition is healthy for players. So when Richarlison drops off, there is someone to step into his place, right?
It's going to be very difficult. Sorry to interrupt, Michael, but it's going to be very difficult in January to find a striker at a price point that we'd be willing to pay, surely.
Yeah. I'm not even talking good point. I'm not talking about January. I don't think we'll bring in a striker, maybe a winger, but I think striker is off the books. But in the summer, for example, I think we should chase a striker, someone Santiago Jimenez or someone else, right? Just to be there to either displace Richarlison when he is not playing well, or light a fire under his ass, right? For him to perform better. And listen, massive shout out to Kulusevski, because he's been getting a lot of slack in the first 10 to 12 games for not contributing offensively. And right now, today, a goal and an assist against Newcastle, goal and assist, right? Or 2 assists. My mind is going blank. Against City,
Newcastle.
Sonny had 2 assists against Newcastle and a goal, didn't he? But Decky was involved.
Against Newcastle, no, I don't think he got a goal contribution against Newcastle, but he played very well.
Yeah, but basically, really good.
I really love him in the 10. I was gutted when Johnson went off, because I think he was taking up some amazing positions in that kind of 10 role.
Yeah, some of the flick-ons and the back to goal play that he performed in that match against Nottingham Forest was really, really good. I really, as you said, Barnaby, I really like him in the middle. But I also think today, after he went out wide, I think he actually performed really well out wide, right? Brilliant cross, brilliant goal that he has taken. But also, I have to say one thing, because I've been listening to other callers, and I promise I know you have to move on, but I promise last thing, right? I've seen a lot of praise today for Skippy, I actually want to say that I wasn't really impressed by what I saw today. I think, like, okay, he provided energy and the legs, right, to run around and, and chase the balls. And I guess there were like a couple of things that he did well, especially that ball that he shielded with his body, and then rose up and played on. Like that was really good. But other than that, I think in certain situations he showed us the old skip, the contest skip, right, which was always playing it safe, rather play it to the back or to the side rather than forward. And I think we, even with 10 men, we had a couple of opportunities where a player of a more like offensive mind would play the ball forward, right? So honestly, if Ange finds a way to not play skip against Everton, I know it's really harsh, but I would rather like play with a midfield of, for example, Højbjerg, Sar, and Kulusevski, and put Brian Hill out wide, rather than skip in the middle and Kulusevski out wide. I think we would benefit more if Kulusevski was in the middle and Sar and Højbjerg played in his place. I know it's a bit harsh. Yeah.
But Michael, talking about Brian Hill, has he shown you anything in the 2 games that he has played? Anything more than an Ollie skip?
Honestly, no.
Exactly.
It's really like, I don't know the English saying, right? But it's really like being like between 2 walls, right? It's one option is not really that good, but the other one is also like kind of meh. But the reason why I'm saying I would prefer Kulusevski in the middle, because I think he provides us that creative spark. And I think if we put him out wide and we play a midfield of Sar, Skip, and Højbjerg, right? Because
Lo Celso might be back as well, though.
I'm assuming that Lo Celso won't be back. If Lo Celso is back, then definitely Lo Celso in 10 and Kulusevski out wide, right? But if we assume that Lo Celso won't be available, we don't know, right? We will find out. But assuming he's not available, I would rather have Kulusevski in the middle, because he provides us with offensive like opportunities. And I think Højbjerg and Sar are playing better than Skip, right? So on that merit, I think I would prefer, as I said, Sar, Højbjerg, Kulusevski in the middle, right?
Michael, but it's not only in that area of the pitch that we need to talk about, because we need to talk about the left centre-back and the left back with Udogie being out. How do you navigate that situation?
Oh my God. it's so, like, I honestly, I don't envy Ange. Like, seriously, the guy has been performing out of his mind for the first 10 games. And ever since that Chelsea game, it's repeatedly, like, everything thrown at his feet. Like, like, hey, listen, you think you are doing well? Nah, here is another, like,
This is Tottenham, mate. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, but I think what will happen is Royal will play left back, and I'm not really too happy about it. But I think it's the safest option, honestly, because Davies performed really, really well as a centre back for the past like 2, 3, 4 games, and I think like it's hard to say, but the partnership that he has formed with Romero, I would rather not break that. I think if they are actually like performing well together, then I think I can stomach like Emerson Royal on the left, and I would rather not break the Davies-Romero partnership, right? Because like the other option is probably either Dyer or Dorrington or Royal playing as a centre back and Davies out left, right? But I think I'm much more convinced by Davies's performances in the middle rather than him out wide. I think he played out wide against Wolves, right? And he was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. So,
but the fact this one's at home. This one is at home though, so it might be that Emerson's not quite as dreadful at left back, because he won't be as. I don't think the opposition will be quite as in his face as they were maybe at Molineux.
I think this Everton game will be a complete shit show. Like,
say how you really feel, Michael.
I have to be honest, right? I think. By the way, I don't know how much did you watch Everton, right? But I think they are actually playing really well.
They're playing brilliantly at the moment.
Yeah, like they are 4 out of 5 won, and the one loss that they had was 3-0 against United, which is the fakest 3-0 I have ever seen. This game should never be a 3-0, and I think Everton played really well and deserved to get something out of that game.
Yeah.
So we are facing a really physical, energetic Everton team, and I think we have much more quality in the side, even with all the injuries. I think they have solid, hard-working players, but they are not really they won't spin you and 1v1 demons. No. That's not Everton's game, right? So I think if we show enough quality in the forward line, we can seriously punish them, and I think we can easily score goals against them. I'm just really worried about us playing out of the back, and I think they will pressure us a lot when we have the ball, because that's what they do, right?
I think it might also end up being a audition for Jared Branthwaite, who Spurs have been linked with, who I really like as a centre half. I've been very impressed with him this season. And let's face it, over the last few seasons, and with their financial fair play issues, Everton have had to sell players. So he could be one that we look to get in.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also impressed by Branthwaite. I had a sneak peek of this Dragusin guy from Genoa that we are linked to, and I actually quite like him. I think, again, this might sound like a cliche, but I think if our scouting department and Ange point to this guy and say that he's good enough to come, then I'm all for it, right?
Me too,
I don't mind that he's from Genoa or that he's Romanian, or that some English fans will struggle with his surname. Sorry, I have to call you out on this one.
But Michael, any diamonds in the rough out in Poland that we should be targeting?
In terms of centre backs or at all?
Centre backs, left wing, striker, anyone.
So, I think in terms of senior players, not really. I think we now in Poland are facing kind of a change of generations, right? So that Euro 2016 side, that was really, really good. Most of them are either retired or about to retire. And I think we have a lot of young talent that's coming through, but they are not at the level, I would say, to play for a team like ours. Maybe a bench option. But if I were to highlight someone, I think, first of all, Sebastian Szymański, he plays for Fenerbahce. I know it's Turkish league, right? But he's absolutely slapping it there. I think he has something like 12 or 13 goal contributions, and he plays as a center attacking mid. The other guy is Jakub Kamiński. He plays for Wolfsburg, on the left wing. And I think he's really, really rough and inexperienced, but I see some talent there, right? So those would be the two that I would like to highlight. And maybe Nikola Zalewski from Roma.
Cool.
He plays as a wing back, sort of winger, like more defensive winger. So those would be the three young players that I would highlight. But I still don't think they are. It's not like they will come and displace one of our players.
Michael, I'm just relieved you didn't say Poland's Matty Cash.
Listen,
please tell me you hate Matty Cash as much as we do.
Big up to him for choosing Poland over England, right? Because we seriously lack quality in that area. But fuck Matty Cash for that fall. Seriously,
So Polish.
Michael, yeah, I did see the Roma wing back out in Israel actually when Spurs played Roma. I think it was beginning of last season. I was actually really impressed with him. But Michael, thank you so much for coming on today.
Top man, Michael.
And we'll speak to you next time.
Always a pleasure speaking with you. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Exactly.
Come on. All right. Is that it for today? Oh, we got more.
No, we got Stelios.
Look who we got. We got Stelios. Looks like he's running on his dial-up internet again, but we'll get him on.
He's also rocking a hat with a sponsor.
Stel,
Impressive work, Stel.
Stel, you paying for the sponsor or what?
He's on his dial-up.
Just my happy hat. I wear it when I'm happy, so I'm happy.
Talk to me. Why are you happy, Stel? 3 points today. Did that performance tell the whole story of the result today?
Well, first of all, I'm happy because last time I called in, I mentioned to Barnaby that I wasn't happy with the hate that Ange Postecoglou was getting from some of our fans, and the criticism from rivals, and I tried to explain we're going in the right direction. We've got the right manager. He's got to stick to what he's doing. And since, we had that conversation that day, we beat Newcastle 5-1, 4-1, sorry.
Yeah.
We've just beaten Nottingham Forest 2-0. And it just goes to show, don't listen to the hate and the criticism if your eyes are telling you we're playing the right way. We're doing things in a good way. He just needs the tools. He needs the players. And, one of the biggest criticisms towards Ange was that he's naive. His in-game management is poor. Well, I'm not being funny. We went down to 10 men tonight. Did we play a high line like we did against Chelsea? No, we didn't. But the criticism will make you believe that's the way we play. Against Chelsea, it was a different scenario. It was 1-1, and there was a game there to be played for another 40-odd minutes. So he made the decision, do I sit back with 9 men for 40 minutes and wait for the inevitable, or do I do what no one's got the courage to do and go for it? And he went for it. Okay, it didn't work. But no team in the history of the Premier League has played with 9 men for 40 minutes and got a result. So we were already, all the data says we were going to lose that regardless, but at least he had the bravery to go for it.
Tonight, it was fine lines, wasn't it, Stel? It was fine lines because we actually had a few chances.
Exactly. And would we have created those chances if we were parked up outside the edge of our box? Because when Liverpool parked up on the edge of their box, when they were down to 9 men, they didn't create anything. So tonight, we're 2-0 up. We've gone down to 10 men. And he said, okay, we'll drop off a bit.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Because the
really good point.
The situation's different. We're 2-0 up. So he is managing the situation that we're in, and the two situations were different. We have got a good manager on our hands here. I don't know where we found him. I don't know how we've scouted him.
Celtic,
I don't know, is it Celtic, Japan, Australia? I mean, is it another lucky moment for Daniel Levy? Probably. But for me, I was very, very happy with Spurs today because we fought, we managed the game well, and I think we've been doing that all season long. But like you've said, Ben, fine margins, that's all it is. And you know what? I know Basuma got a red card, and I know Udogi's going to miss a game, but here's the thing. Do you remember Jose Mourinho famously saying that we need to play like a bunch of you-know-what?
Yeah.
Well, is this team not fighting every single game that you watch them play? Are they not being like that now? Are they not fighting for it? I think they are.
I agree, Stel. They are fighting. But also, there's also a fine line between fighting and going a bit over the top. And 4 red cards so far this season, and specifically 2 for Basuma this season. Like, what do you make out of that? And why does Basuma particularly keep getting sent off?
I thought tonight it was one of those where it's 50-50. Like, it was not intentional. It wasn't deliberate. He was late. But if you watch it back, I've watched it back quite a few times now. He hasn't gone crashing into the guy's knee. It's like the tip of his boot caught him. And as he's gone in, he realised he was going to be late. And where both feet were off the ground initially, he then planted his other foot, knowing he's not going to make it. So I think half of him wanted to pull out, but he knew he'd committed and that he was going to catch him. So he could have got in harder, but he recognised that it was a late challenge. So, look, if I'm being biased and we're going to be somewhat understanding of how football is played, it's an orange. But there's no such thing as an orange. And nowadays with VAR, they give the red. So I felt a little bit unlucky for him. I guess the argument would be that, did you need to make that challenge? But that game it was a war out there tonight. And when you're in the heat of the battle, you can't just kind of switch off and go into calm mode and switch on into aggressive mode. You're in it. And I think he just got caught in the moment. I think what's a bigger issue, Ben, isn't so much Basuma getting a red card and Udogie being suspended and then, Romero the next day and this player that day. I think it's the lack of squad numbers is the problem, because if we had 2 or 3 good players in that position available, you could drop Basuma when he comes back and say, right, you need to learn, and this can't continue. And you've got those other players to come in and do the job. Our problem is we're running such a thin squad that we actually can't afford any of these reds and yellows. And I think that's actually the bigger problem. But, I mean, if you look at Spurs' disciplinary record over the last 5 years, we've had the 3rd worst, the 4th worst, 11th, 6th. This year, we're currently 3rd. So we do kind of hover around this place as disciplinary as a club as a whole. And I don't know why that is. I can't tell you why that's happening, but I think if we had a bigger squad, you could manage it better as a manager because you can drop players, you can rotate players more. But with us, we can't do any of that. You know, imagine Romero with his kind of hot head once in a while. Who do you drop him for? You can't. You have to play him, right? You've got to play him. And I think Basuma's with Bentancur out, with Lo Celso injured, with Højbjerg, Skip maybe not quite good enough. We can't really drop Basuma, I feel, and I think that's another issue we've got with disciplinary, the fact we can't rotate players.
Yeah, I think all really good points. Let's try and get onto some more positivity. Obviously, Basuma did. I agree with you. Actually, I do think that's a red card that doesn't exist before the VAR age. Like the referee gave it as a yellow. It wasn't like what I call like a straight leg one where either the player tackling Basuma in this case has got a straight leg and is in danger of breaking his leg, or the defender's leg is planted straight and he's been fouled that way. But you knew as soon as you saw it on replay in slow-mo that they were going to give it as a red card. Kind of, and I said this to Ben earlier, based on that Curtis Jones red that was given at White Hart Lane earlier this season. It was a very similar one to that. But in terms of more positive stuff, going into the Everton game now, can we keep this run of wins going? It will be difficult, but what do we need to do to turn over Sean Dyche's men at the Lane?
I don't think I'll be wearing my hat that day. I tell you that. Yeah, like, I think if ever there was a home game to genuinely be worried for, it's that one. I just think that Everton they've got the bit between their teeth. They've found good form. They want to prove everyone wrong after that 10-point deduction, and you really want to go into that game with as many good players as possible. And I mean, if Lo Celso's still injured, Basuma's out, Dogi's out, we don't know what's going to happen with Brennan Johnson. I don't know what the rule is on concussion. If he's
they said it wasn't a concussion still.
Okay, good, right. So at least we got him. Yeah, that midfield in the wing-back position is worrying. Again, you look at the bench, there's nothing there. If we play the way we play and we take chances, you know, state the obvious, Stelios, we can beat them. But I think Everton they're gonna be a tough game for us. And look, if we lose that game, I'm not saying we will. I wouldn't be surprised. I hope we don't, because I think we need to keep this momentum going and go into January in the top 4 and pray to God Daniel Levy brings some, you know, reinforcements for Ange, because we've lost Basuma now till February. You know that.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I would say though, Stel, is Everton have got an appalling record against Spurs in general, but especially at Spurs. And those things do tend to matter. I don't know, for some reason, maybe just because I've had a beer, but I'm feeling pretty confident about that game. I don't think they'll press as high, actually. One of our guests earlier said they think they'll press as high. I don't think so at all. I think they'll try and do kind of a similar to West Ham, low block, and then nick some set pieces. But I feel like if we have Johnson back and hopefully Lo Celso back, I think we might have the creativity to do it. But also, I said to Ben earlier, let's see how they do away at Burnley this weekend, because Burnley will play a similar style to us, but with inferior players. And if Burnley can do well against that Everton team, then I think we can turn them over as well.
This is hilarious. The last time I came on, I was trying to convince you we're going to be okay. Now you're trying to convince me that we're going to be okay.
This is what being a Tottenham fan is all about, Stelios.
No, I hear you. Yeah, look, you make a good point. If the Celso plays, then you've got that creativity. Pape Sarr's in good form. I think he's going to have to go with Højbjerg, because Højbjerg is experienced. My only concern with Højbjerg is I think he's better coming off the bench than what he is starting for Spurs. Yeah. I do feel that midfield, and against a very powerful Everton midfield, is a big concern for me. We're really going to need Son, Kulu, Brennan Johnson, and Lo Celso to have a stellar game, so that we can really put Everton to bed when we do create those chances. Because I do think as a midfield we're going to get overrun. So it's going to be one hell of a game. It's going to be very tight. Sean Dyche is going to come there with a game plan. He's no joke of a manager. Ange's going to do what he does best and go for it. It's anyone's game. It really is. I just want Spurs to have a healthy squad for like 3-4 months, so we can really see what Ange is capable of. And we just
Stel, too much to ask.
Stability.
We're gonna have that from February onwards. That's what I'm feeling. I think from February onwards we're gonna have that, and we're gonna have an amazing run in, kind of Aston Villa style from last year, where suddenly out of nowhere they just put all those games together. And I think if we're around 5th place when that happens and not too far off the top 4, I think we could really push on. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's why I feel like games like tonight are massive, absolutely massive. Getting that result in a difficult game when we're under the cosh and we're getting injuries and suspensions are huge. So that's what I'm looking at for next calendar year.
Yeah, I think that's really spot on, to be honest.
Guys, sorry,
go on, Stel. Go on, Stel. No, you go.
No, I was going to say, like, at the start of the season when everyone was making their predictions, I said we'd finish 8th or 10th, especially when we sold Harry Kane. I said I don't think we'll be better than that. But then when you look at the way we played pre-season, you look at the way we started the season, you look at the... Have I said something funny?
No, sorry. I just gave a kiss to Harry up in the skies like he's in heaven.
Oh, right. What would we be like now if we had Harry? Oh, my Lord.
We said this earlier.
Of course.
I said I thought
we'll be fighting for the title this year if we had Harry Kane.
I said I thought he might already have scored 20 league goals. Sonny's got what, 11?
And created it.
Yeah, I think he's got
Sonny's after he scored tonight? No, he didn't. He's on 10.
No, he didn't.
He's on 10.
All right, okay.
So yeah, no, but I was gonna say, like, I predicted mid-table that, but now after watching the way we played so quickly to play completely different in pre-season, and then the way we started, I said to a friend of mine who's a diehard Arsenal fan, he didn't like what I said. I said to him, if Spurs stay injury-free going into January and Levy backs Ange, we will be dark horses for the title. I said dark horses, not we're gonna win it. But what I did say to him, and I've said it on a number of streams that I've been on in the past 2-3 weeks, I honestly believe, guys, I know we're going through an injury patch, suspension patch. We're going to have a bit of a rough January with AFCON and Asia Cup. I honestly think we will get top 4 this year. I mean that, because the way we play and the chances we create, once we do get some stability, and I think you're right, round about February, we should begin to level off with some stability. February, March, April, May, there's no reason why Spurs can't really just shoot for the stars and do almost an Antonio Conte style end of season and snatch top 4. And do you know what, guys? I think Ange will do it. I do
as well. I do as well. I agree.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I actually think I don't think we're a shoo-in for top 4. I think it's between us and Villa.
I do as well.
Probably. But I think Villa are bound to have a drop-off. And Villa's squad is as thin as ours, to be honest. And a few injuries for Villa. Ollie Watkins gets injured. You know, they're completely out on their legs. So I feel like Villa are going for their good patch now, but I feel like it's a bit too early in the season. And I think we're going to come on strong. Like Barnaby said, February, March, April, we've got a really hard run of games. But from now until April, we actually don't play anyone in the top 6. So it's our time.
We'll win all those games in April anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, of course.
But I think the only just playing devil's advocate, the only slight worry I have, I agree about Villa, but I also think they're due a run of injuries or suspensions or both or whatever like we've had. But the fact that United and Newcastle didn't even get into the Europa League and they can now come with us to 1 game a week means that they will improve drastically. But I do still think United, and let's add Chelsea in there, United and Chelsea are absolute dross, and I think we'll both finish. I think us and Newcastle will both finish above them. So it might be us, Newcastle, and Villa for 4th, I think.
But we've got one thing none of them have got, though.
Big Ange.
We've got one thing none of them have got, and it goes as well as Big Ange, absolutely. But we've got one thing they don't have, any of those teams, and he is the unsung hero of Tottenham this season. And for, I don't know how much he was, 12 million, 15 million pound. Vicario has got to be one of the signings of the season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
For the money we paid, when you look at Onana, that Dubrovna at Newcastle, that I don't know who's in goal. Is it Sanchez for Chelsea?
Sanchez, yeah, squad player.
Right. You talk about all those teams, Barnaby. Look at Vicario.
Yeah.
Hands down, the signing of the season for me for the money we paid.
Yeah, no.
But Stelios, it's not just Vicario though. Like, how many signings of the season do we have? We've got James Maddison, Mickey van der Ven, Vicario. I mean, Destiny Udogie is pretty much like a new signing in his first season this year. I mean, all four of those players have come in and stepped in and been close to the best players in their position in the league.
Yeah. Amazing recruitment.
Listen, they've all been brilliant. It's been the best summer window we've seen under this ownership for me. Like, all the players that have come in have literally hit the ground running from day one. Okay, maybe the first couple of games a bit nervous, but since then they've all hit the ground running. Hopefully that continues. But why I want to put so much praise on Vicario is everything we do starts at the back, and his distribution is exactly what allows this team to tick when we want to play it from the back. And every single game, this guy makes like a match-winning save. Yeah. Honestly, for the price we paid, Maddison was like 40 million. Van der Ven was 45 million. Udogie was he 20, 30 million? Guys, for 15 million quid, this goalie plays for any team in the league.
Yeah,
I honestly believe he walks into any team in the league.
I reckon any team bar Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah, okay, that's fair play. Alisson is magnificent, and Edison is top class. But again, Alisson was 75 million, guys.
Yeah.
So,
we could buy four more Vicarios.
Kepa was 70 million.
Yeah, that's the. I mean, our producer today is a Chelsea fan. It feels like we're just being mean, but yeah, that was some of that spend is mad.
Well,
anyway, Stelios, thanks so much for calling in, mate. You've been a legend.
Yes, guys. Listen, have a great night, and Sammy, you're in the mud.
Sammy got mudded live on air by Stelios, but let's move on to our next guest, Rovshan. Is he frozen?
I can hear him, I think.
Can you hear me, guys?
Hear us? Yeah,
we can hear you, but your camera has frozen. Oh, no, you're back. How you doing, Rovshan?
Oh, I think it's still frozen. Yeah, I'm good. What about you?
I'm good after 3 important points today. Tough place to go in the City ground, Nottingham Forest. Wasn't, vintage Ange ball today, but we got the job done, didn't we, Rovshan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just want to be happy, but when you look at the injuries, suspensions, general availability, it just like decreases your mood down. But it's like all seasons, I'm having mixed emotions. I want to be happy because we won, but then I think about the other stuff and the crisis we are in. It's just sad. Because another 2 important players out for the next games. In particular, this game, it was good, a hard-fought victory. I think it was important because we needed to have like run of games where we win, and it's the second game we win after Newcastle. But the next game, yes, it's at home against Everton. But when you look at it, Emerson comes to the left back, who will play in midfield, like a team like Everton, we can probably lose, and this can happen again. I don't know why we have been so unlucky with availability, like playing once a week. Like we are not even playing Europe, but we have so many injuries, like unbelievable amount of injuries. Probably 2 of our best players this season are out, and we are still doing a good job. That's big credit to Postecoglou, to be fair. Like he's just a magic man. He's the new magic of Tottenham, because I don't think other coaches, like the world-class coaches we call, like Conte, Mourinho, could do this with Ben Davies or Emerson or just the players they had, Højbjerg, Skip, like, and just doing it. Yeah, we had some run-up games where we didn't win, obviously, but it had to happen, man. Like, Ange is the one that I never discredit, because he's just doing stuff that, like, out of his depth, that's just, he's doing stuff like, he's reaching his maximum, because imagine we had our players like Madison when available. What would happen? Like I can't even imagine.
We'd be top of the league, Rovshan. We'd be top of the league, I'm
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. Like we needed to win 3 of those like 5-6 winless run to be top of the league, and he would smash it. Absolutely. Yeah, that's very unlucky to be fair. So
yeah, I personally think that hopefully it'll even itself out, and maybe Arsenal are due to have a run of bad injuries and suspensions, and obviously Man United have really suffered with that, and Liverpool seem to have been pretty clear of any of that. You've just got to hope that this thing comes around. But the year that Leicester won the league and we were challenging them and ended up coming third, I don't think Leicester had an injury all season. They pretty much played the same 11 all season. And so far,
I think it was the same when Liverpool won the league as well.
Yeah, so far Arsenal are getting that bit of luck too. But Rovshan, I refuse to worry too much about the Everton game in advance of enjoying the rest of this weekend after that Forest performance. So who most impressed you tonight for Spurs in that 2-0 win?
yeah, have to be Kulusevski first of all, because I criticized him when I last joined here, but he really proved me wrong with this performance today. Like the really good attacking performance, we really relied on him today because he created both goals, really, isn't it, didn't he? And he's just a guy that makes me feel safe always. Like he can make mistakes in the next games, and I will still feel safe because, like Stel said, he makes match-winning saves every game. Like it's just a constant thing for him. Imagine Lloris was in goal this season if he doesn't make those.
3-2, don't we?
Yeah, that's why goalkeeper is such an important position in the field. That's why I'm really happy we got him instead of David Raya. And Everton game, it's just very hard, isn't it? Because technically we have some good players on the ball, but when you look at defense, it's like the same defense we were against Wolves, and it will be very hard to watch. It will be not relaxing, at least. And I want to talk about Bissouma. I'm not a really fan of him, to be honest. I was in the beginning of the season, like in the first 6-7 games, but since then, like I don't want to sound crazy, but it feels like a bit of Ndombele thing. Like I don't know why. For 2 red cards, but not only that, he was also suspended for 4 yellow cards, I think. In addition to that,
he's had 3 separate suspensions this season already.
When you say that out loud, that is mental.
Yeah, not even halfway through the season yet.
Yeah, that's not a good player thing, to be fair. And one for me, like when you put him beside Bentancur for me is at least 2 levels above him as a footballer in general. And my problem is with Bissouma, maybe you shouldn't demand it from that, demand that from him. But it's his second season and he has 0 goals and 0 assists. Like going forward, guy does nothing. The thing that he does very well is controlling the midfield. And in the last games, he is not even doing that. So in general, we can say that he's putting 3-4 out of 10 performances, and we can't rely on that like this.
Rovshan, let me just ask you a question here. Like, I agree with you. He's not playing well at the moment and hasn't played well consistently since that Luton game. I would say the Newcastle game is probably his only good performance since then. But let's say, for argument's sake, that he can display on a consistent basis that what he did show in the first 10 games of the season. Would you excuse the suspensions a la like Patrick Vieira, Roy Keane, who used to get suspended a lot during seasons?
Well, first of all, like 2 red cards is too much for one player. It's too much for the team, even let alone a player. I will give Bissouma this season. He needs to have his second full season under attacking manager. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Last season he was awful. Whether it was down to Conte or not, he was awful. There were some good players and he didn't perform. And if in the end of this season we are not happy with him, I just don't see a future for him here. But again, there's another half of the season. He can still prove me wrong massively, which would make me happy, to be honest. But let's be honest, we know how good technically he is. But in general, after 17 games, like, can we say he has been good? Like in general, like all bad games, good games. When you take them all, has he been good?
I think for the first 10 he was excellent, and then I think his confidence suffered with that kind of diving sending off against Luton, and then the other suspension came, and then when in those first few games back, it was like he was out of rhythm because he'd missed so many games. And tonight, I have to say, maybe because we've won, I'm feeling glass half full about it, but he panicked. He thought he made a bad touch, and he chased the game. He chased the moment. He chased the game, and it was a bad foul. It was a red card. He's going to think about this, but I think he'll come back stronger after the AFCON as a result.
But I don't think there's any doubting his quality, though.
Yeah.
I think he's a top player, Bissouma. I really believe that. I feel like he's a man off form at the moment. But I think those first 10 games prove to us how good and how pivotal he can be in this system.
It's a bit like Ndombele then, isn't it? We knew he was like a very good player when it comes to talent, but when it comes to mentality, discipline, like some moments in the game, he just didn't prove himself. It's a bit like Bissouma. I'm not saying completely, but if it continues like that, like red card suspensions or just some. Even like when you look at this moment, he created this red card. It was a very bad touch, very poor touch, which could have ended up being a goal or just a dangerous position, and it ended up being a red card. He created it by himself, and if he continues to do stuff like this, I'm not gonna support him. Like we needed. He's not Declan Rice. Let's be honest. Declan Rice is miles better than him.
Yes, but Declan Rice cost £100 million. Can I just say one thing? Just because you've mentioned Ndombele, the main difference between Bissouma and Ndombele is that Bissouma works really hard.
Yeah,
he puts a shift in every time. Ndombele is undoubtedly a more technically gifted player than Bissouma, but that is worthless if you are unwilling to work forward and back in the same way. And Ndombele has had too many chances at Spurs, and he can't get on the pitch for Galatasaray either. And he is wasting his career, unfortunately. For such a gifted player, it's devastating. But I understand what you're saying about Bissouma. It was disappointing he got sent off, but it's not through lack of trying, in my opinion.
Agreed. I completely agree with that, and I agree with the sentiment. And look, Bissouma has shown more in those 10 games than Ndombele has in the last 4 years at Spurs.
I'll not discredit him for those 10 games. Maybe I sound a bit harsh, to be honest. He was really good.
We got 3 points, Roshan.
Anyway, Roshan, I'm actually happy you're coming on and criticising Bissouma, because last time you came on and criticised Kulusevski, and we saw what happened with Kulusevski. So hopefully this is just your way of playing Bissouma back into form.
Yeah, top man.
Yeah, absolutely. I want him to prove me wrong. Oh, when he performs well, I'm the happiest man alive, and I will be there to defend him. Absolutely. Big up Bissouma.
Well, we have to wait. We have to wait for February for that now,
exactly.
Unfortunately. In general, let's carry this winning form. Hopefully, we will beat Everton.
Let's hope so. Hopefully, we'll get to speak to you after the Everton game. But thank you so much for coming on today, Roshan, and we'll speak to you next time.
Guys, bye.
All right. Last caller of the day, Mr. KPV, best till last. All right, let's bring him on.
And KPV, bad news for you. I have to leave to get my last train in like 5 minutes, so you're going to have to keep it short and sweet, old KPV.
Fair play, my friend. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Barnaby.
No probs.
Thank you for coming on, KPV.
Yeah, I'll see you for the next game, Barnaby. See you for the Everton one.
Yeah, am I doing Everton? I think
you are.
I think I am doing Everton. Yeah, mate, I'm here as often as I can be. I just like having the bright lights on my face, KPV. Don't you worry. And to see you lying down on your sofa.
Yeah, substitution in for Blind Daigle last minute.
Top man.
Talk to me about the game, KPV. How do you think it went? You happy with the 3 points today?
You mean Forest game, not Everton?
The Forest game.
Yeah, the Forest game.
Not Everton. Good game. But seriously, what is going on with Bissouma? Like, what is he thinking? Like, I've seen it back, and wasn't a red actually. Like someone in the chat said it was yellow. Like it just didn't actually go up. But how did any Forest player not get a yellow card in the first half? Like one of them got Pedro Paul or something, and none of them got yellow card until the 82nd minute in the second half. And then Romero deserved to not get booked because you wanted him to get booked, then it would miss Everton. Like, come on, mate, allow it. Allow it, mate. You know he did not get booked because he just came back one, and that means he would miss the Everton game. But Richarlison against his old team, like he got Richarlison in when he did, and Richarlison left to come to us. So, like we've got Everton, and Everton actually have a bad record at our ground, but they only won there once. And Højbjerg and Doherty made their debuts, and we lost because of giving away that free kick, and Calvert-Lewin scored, and he went on to
Ancelotti.
later, and we won 5-0. So Everton away at home, they've only won there once, and they this is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, not the old White Hart Lane. They won there twice under David Crap Moyes. He's now won there once at West Ham, so he's now won 3 times.
What a memory, KPV.
Yeah, Crap Moyes, and I don't like West Ham, but I've got a mate who supports West Ham, so lucky. But yeah, great win, and you can ask for my man of match. I think I've got to give it to Venom Vicario.
Yes.
Number one, Italy's future number one, going to be better than Buffon. You heard what Buffon said, and it's definitely Italy's number one for sure. Because Donnarumma, he's been conceding goals recently. So, but yeah, bring on the Euros, and I think Vicario should be in goal for Italy for one of them games because Donnarumma just hasn't been great so far. So, Italy manager Spalletti, whatever your name is, start Vicario in goal, mate, because he's better than Donnarumma. And I don't know why he's not been given a chance, even though he's been called up for not getting a chance. Like, what's going on? And yeah, Chiellini announced his retirement, so congrats on a brilliant career, but still cheat in the front. I don't care, but yeah, congrats on a brilliant career and great game today. But yeah, tonight actually because it was in the evening. But yeah, let's see how Sean Dyche does against his old team tomorrow. And he's only beaten us twice. That was with Burnley, and let's hope we don't see more red cards in the Everton game because Vertonghen was the last one to get a red card, but not in that game. It was against Arsenal.
KPV, can you tell me who the last player was to get sent off twice in a season?
For Spurs?
Yeah.
Well, for Spurs?
Yeah. I can't remember. I don't know.
Ronaldo. It was Son. Everton.
Son
was that when he got sent off at Everton?
Yeah, which wasn't his fault.
Injuring Gomez. That was rescinded, but then Chelsea home, he got sent off for injuring Rudiger. I'm not
just like that, and a click of a finger, you can give me the answer.
You are our stats guy. You are stat man, KPV.
100%.
And
Stato.
Yeah, and so Son was the last one to get sent off twice in a season, the same as Wes Morgan for Leicester. And when Leicester won the league, Vardy got sent off against West Ham for diving, and they played the same team and still won. But I think if we can get a few players in January, then I think we can still win the league. But I don't care what anyone says.
Good man, KPV. Good man. Why not?
I'm not giving up on this team because, now we're going to lose Son, Flosuma, and Star. Richarlison has to step up because Son done it under Poch.
Has he not stepped up already, KPV?
Yeah, he has. He scored 3 goals in 2 games. So, and he actually done like Bale did in his last season at Spurs because Bale's last goal for Spurs before he went to Madrid was actually a pre-season friendly against Swindon in the new kit, 13-14 kit, and I've seen a picture of him wearing it, and he was on the cover of FIFA 14 wearing it. So I don't know why he went to Madrid. He just signed a new contract before the 12-13 season began, and then the best team in Spain come calling. There's no doubt we were going to turn that down. AVB said it could happen, it might not happen, but Real Madrid come calling, you can't turn them down. you heard Richie say before this season, like, who wouldn't want to play with Real Madrid? Like, Vinny Jr., him and Richarlison linking up, and Rodrigo from Madrid, 3 Brazilians. Why not? But he's still got a contract here. Romero, I see a future here. And yeah, the doggy till 2030. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Definitely.
love that contract. Love that contract extension. KPV, I've got to rush off, so I'm just going to ask you one question before we leave it. What is your prediction, because you've given us your man of the match already, what is your prediction for that Everton game in a week's time?
I'm going 5-0 again, mate.
5-0 to Spurs.
And with Dele Alli coming on to a hero's welcome like he did last time.
100%.
Yeah, 5-0, man. Like,
And then they need to pay us 10 million at the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
if Sean Dyche wants to get him back in the team, because that's what I heard. So, yeah, like 5-0 Tottenham again. And well, I know Kane's not there because he done a Van Persie goal against Everton. And so, Son, Richarlison's going to score, but he's not going to celebrate. Michael Dawson played for Forest, Teddy Sheringham and Brennan Johnson. But who else played for Spurs and Everton, Ben? I want to know. Pino, Ali, who
Pat
else?
Van den Houw.
Dele Alli.
Dele Alli, yeah, who else? I just said a few of them.
Nick
Pino,
Barmby.
Gaza.
Nick Barmby.
Very good.
Gaza. So it's basically an old team.
David Ginola.
David Ginola.
I didn't know he played for Everton. I didn't see
Yeah,
him.
he did.
He played for Newcastle as well, so that's all I remember.
KPV, unfortunately.
We've got to do one, unfortunately. It's my fault, KPV, but I'll speak to you next time.
We have run out of time today, KPV. Thank you so much for coming on today. We'll see you next time. Big up yourself. Hopefully we get that 5-0 win next weekend.
Yeah, and then just before I go, please comment on that photo I tagged you in, because it's been nearly 2 years since I saw you, the game against Brentford. So I expect a comment because you and Tim haven't commented on it yet. So comment on it.
You've got him banged to rights, KPV. You've got him banged to rights. We'll make sure that happens. Top man, have a good weekend.
Good one, KPV. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Come on, you Spurs. We never stop.
That's it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. That is the end of the fan show. Barnaby, thank you so much for coming on today.
Loved it.
Just before you go, please tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so just in the title of this show, that's my handle, but it's every day I have the Spurred On podcast on YouTube there. And if you listen to podcasts on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just go in the search engine, the Spurred On podcast, give me a subscribe or a follow. And more importantly, come on, you Spurs.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.